Hello and welcome back to TechNuovo. My name's Steph and today we are going to be running through my best settings on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Not that I think many people are going to be playing this game, but we have had the opportunity to try it, so I thought I'd download it on my Steam Deck and see how I got on there. And I just wanted to share with you my best settings on getting this game to run. And just before we begin, I want to highlight that there is a whopping 99.7% of you that are just currently not subscribed to this channel. And it does feel like we're breaking YouTube world records at this point. So if you subscribe now to the channel, it just means that you get to keep up with our Steam Deck content better in the future. Thanks a lot. Okay, so diving into my graphic settings, I am running a borderless full screen, not that I've got much choice. With that comes a 1280 by 720 resolution, but I can knock that up to 1280 by 800 if I'm on the Steam Deck itself, is because I'm plugged into a monitor. VSync is switched off. Target frame rate is at 90, although I've not got much choice on that either because that's the only option you can choose. My anti-aliasing upscaling mode is set to FXAA, and that is the upscaling quality at FXAA high. No dynamic resolution scaling, although you can turn that on if you want to achieve a nicer, more consistent frame rate. I haven't. Quality presets, I'm running a custom preset of shadow quality at low, texture quality at medium, volumetric fog quality at low, level of detail at medium, and I've got ray tracing switched off, of course. In the more general settings, I am running no motion blur, no bloom, lens flare is locked anyway, and chromatic aberration is also switched off, and I'm not using any film grain. Diving into the brightness and HDR settings, I have had to change these because I am plugged into a monitor, and it also happened on the Steam Deck OLED as well. Now, I found that because of the Steam Deck OLED locking HDR off, this game has no way of turning HDR off. It's completely locked, and I couldn't find an option to be able to turn it off, so you might have exactly the same issues. Now, I have turned the HDR brightness up to 100 and the UI brightness up to 100 as well, although I've kept the white point at 50, and that is just to really compensate for the darker scenes in this game. I am currently in daytime running around, and I am currently hitting around the mid-30s for the frames per second. That dipped down there to 27 for the cutscene, but mid-30s tends to be where I am at with the frame rate, which I think is pretty decent. I am at the very start of the game, by the way, which is why you can still see the credits appearing. I have just done the tutorial and followed this on. But for the most part, I have found settings that I am pretty comfortable with running during the daytime and also the nighttime of this game. The tutorial was completely in the dark, so I originally set my settings for that, but when we got to the daytime here, the frame rate just again tanked. So the main thing I changed were the texture qualities and just brought them down to like a medium level. Now we've got a bit of action going on the screen. The game is not the hardest to run, but it's certainly not the easiest, or it doesn't seem to be the easiest. There's a lot of things going on screen, or there can be at any one go. And I found during the tutorial that there was a scene where we had to escape the enemies or hold off the enemies for a period of time. And it certainly took its toll there. As you can see, we do dip slightly every now and then, which, I mean, isn't too bad. I feel like I'm pretty much consistently hitting that mid-30s frame rate. Why can't I land on this roof? All I want to do is land on the roof. Oh, I'm stuck. I don't know how I get out of. Oh, I think it's part of the game. I thought it was a skill that someone had just used on me, but I was locked in. I can't remember what I was saying now. Oh, look, it's the green. I don't know what he's called. The Green Lantern, I think. Yeah. I don't know my Justice League heroes very well. I've never seen the Suicide Squad films either. And forgive me for my sins for playing this game as well, that's been receiving some bad press at the moment. I have experienced one crash with this game, and it completely locks me out of the Steam Deck. I had to hard turn off by holding down the power button on the top of the Steam Deck. I had to turn it off that way and then reboot my Steam Deck. But apart from that, one crash so far I don't think is too bad. Right, because of that distance, we have drops down to, that went down to the early 20s then, but we're just dipping under 30 FPS. As I said, this game can be at times quite hard to run just because of the sheer amount of things going on screen at once. Now we have found ourselves in an open world environment on this game. I can say that it does tend to struggle at times, and that frame rate does drop below the 30s. When you're standing still, not so much, but if you are traversing the city at speed, and things of course have got to take the time to load in and render and the draw distance and things like that, then yes, it does dip below that 30 FPS mark. As you can see, it's hit 27 so far. It hit 18 earlier, when there you go, straight down to 18, and that's really noticeable, and it starts stuttering. I mean, is it still playable? Yes, but just be warned, the open world environment can be a little bit hard to run. There's a lot going on, and the actual detail and quality still looks pretty good, but there is a lot going on. Now, if I dive into my graphics settings again, there is a little bit of headroom that we can do. Now, we can switch on FSR if we wanted to, and if we kept that at balance, then that could be good. Although I do tend to find, if we are still running around, yes, it feels a little bit smoother in the controller, but you're still dipping into those 20s. So it's not really making enough of a difference to warrant removing some of that graphical sharpness and quality from the resolution. The other thing, if we go back to our options menu into our video, change this back to FXAA as I had it on before, we have got dynamic resolution scaling, which we can switch on if we really wanted to switch that on. But then, as you can see, it really does again make a difference, a massive difference to the sharpness, especially when we start getting those dips. And once I get my jetpack back, if we go straight up, things like the mesh on this walkway here, the gratings on this walkway, and then when you're starting to hit smaller textures like those grates in the door, they just don't look great. The distance, straight lines in the distance on that building just looks horrible as well. So you're not really, again, gaining much by having that switched on in terms of resolution, or in terms of trying to improve that frame rate. Although, yes, it doesn't make a huge difference when it comes to that. Having that dynamic resolution switched off just keeps everything at a kind of a nice constant. The other thing we can do as well, if you really wanted to, which again in my testing I haven't found any point in doing because it hasn't made a difference, is we could just go to our quality presets and just set everything on the absolute minimum. And again, we're still hitting that mid-30s, dipping to 27, 25. So again, depending on what's going on the screen, it's yeah, it can be a bit of a problem there. Thank you very much for checking out this video. If you did enjoy it, please hit that like button, subscribe to keep up with our latest Steam Deck content, and also let us know in the comments down below what you thought about this video. If there are any settings that you would have changed to get better performance from this game on the Steam Deck, let us know in the comments down below as well. As I say, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.